Wake up every day and drive to a job you hate all because you can't afford to quit? Well, if that's the case, you're not alone. In fact, tons of people at this exact moment are struggling with the exact same thing. However, just because this is a common problem in our society does not mean you have to accept it. Matter of fact, I would encourage you to do quite the opposite. So rather than living with your current circumstances and allowing yourself to suffer day after day, you should take steps to solve the situation. In this video, I'm going to discuss some things you can do if you hate your job and are looking to get out of that situation. If we haven't met already, I'm Joe and I love to make videos regarding personal finance, investing, real estate, and other life topics. If you find any value in this video, do me a favor and smash the like button. It really helps me out. Alright guys, so there are two issues that arise when you hate your job but need it for financial reasons. Number one, you hate your job and every time you walk through that door, you feel sick to your stomach. And number two, if you were just to up and quit, you wouldn't have enough money in savings to pay your bills while you find a new job. So here's the deal guys, if you want to change your current circumstances, you need to solve at least one of these two problems. So you need to either find a new job or improve your current work situation so that you don't have to worry about paying your bills, or you need to improve your financial situation and save enough money so that you can quit and still pay all your expenses while you look for a new job. That being said, the first step in resolving this process is to get to the root of the problem. So what is the biggest problem with your current job? Do you hate your industry? Do you hate the actual work you do, the pay, the people you work with? What exactly is going on? Then you need to ask yourself, is there anything that would make you stay at your current job? For example, would you be happier if you were paid more, transferred to a different department, or worked for a different manager or boss? And what if any changes would need to be made in order for you to enjoy your job? Also, why can't you afford to quit? Is it because you have too many expenses? Do you lack enough in savings? Are you buried in a bunch of debt? Again guys, in order to get to the root of the problem, you must first ask yourself as many questions as possible and be honest with yourself. You need to have a clearly defined problem. Once that's done, you can start to work on solutions. With that being said, my next piece of advice is to crunch the numbers. Now when your emotions are running high, it can be hard to take a breath and approach your financial situation with a calm, level head. But if you hate your job and you can't afford to quit, that's exactly what you need to do. Why, you ask? Because if you can't see past the emotions of your current situation, it's easy to let your mind spiral out of control. Trust me, I've been there, and emotions will make just about any situation seem worse than it actually is. So in order to start the process of crunching the numbers, you need to add up all your monthly expenses. You need to figure out the average amount of money you spend each month. And I'm talking everything from your rent or your mortgage to the food you eat. Now the best way to do this is to log into your various spending accounts and take a really in-depth look at your checking account, to your credit card accounts, and add up every expense from the last 6 months. Then just divide that number by 6. Now you may be saying to yourself, why 6 months? Because throughout the year, it's normal to go through months where you may spend more and months when you spend less. And just in my personal experience, 6 months is about the perfect sample size to get an accurate monthly spending average. Now you may also want to consider accounting for health insurance while you're unemployed. I strongly believe in the idea that you should always prepare for the worst and hope for the best. And because of that, if you were to quit your job, health insurance is a major consideration you should take into account. Now after you've had a chance to crunch the numbers, the next thing you should do is set your savings goal and timeline. So after you've analyzed your financials in detail, you need to figure out how much money to save to cover your monthly expenses. And then the next thing you need to do is address is time. So if you were to quit your job tomorrow, how long do you realistically think it would take you to find a new job? 1 month, 3 months, 6 months? Now whatever you decide, multiply that number by your total monthly expenses. The result of that equation is your new savings goal. So for example, if your monthly average expenses are $3,000 a month and you think you could find a job within 4 weeks, you would need $3,000 saved and put away. On the other hand, if you think it may take 3 months or 90 days, you would have to have at least $9,000 saved. So after you had time to crunch the numbers and come up with your savings goal and timeline, the next step is to create a plan. So if you hate your job but can't afford to quit, then the last thing you should do is make a hasty, rash decision. Now as hard as that might be, addressing the problem with a calm and level head is the best thing you can do. So one plan or option may be to try to improve your current work situation. Again, unless it's just too far gone, if there's a chance you can solve your work situation without quitting, then I highly recommend you attempt this first. And I have to say, on paper, this is usually the best option, but can be the most intimidating. Reason being is that this plan requires you to be bold and communicate as openly and honestly as you can. For example, if you hate your job because you feel like you're underpaid, then you'll need to talk to your superior about a possible pay increase. If you can't stand a particular coworker or supervisor, then you'll need to have an open and honest conversation with that person and take the issue head on. Or it's possible you may have to talk to your boss or their boss about about it. Now, the next option is to get a new job before you quit your current job. Now, this tends to be one of the most common ways people get out of an unhealthy work situation. But again, in order for this plan to work successfully, you'll have to make time for filling out applications, networking, and interviewing. And the more you hate your job, the more aggressive you need to be on your job search. The sooner you find new employment, the sooner you can quit. So get aggressive with your job hunt and don't let up until you found a new place to work. Then you can quit your job without worrying how you're going to pay your bills. Another great option, but requires patience and financial planning and a lot of discipline, is to improve your financial situation so you can afford to quit. So with this plan, you'll need to find ways to save as much money as you possibly can, as fast as you can. So the goal here is to save enough money to cover your employment gap. And since you've already figured out the financial math by crunching the numbers earlier, this should be fairly straightforward. Now, if you plan to take this route, I do recommend the following. Get on a budget and cut as many expenses as possible. Seriously, the more expenses you cut, the more money you'll be able to save, and the lighter your financial burden will be if you decide to leave your job. Also, just find ways to make money on the side, be it a part-time job, selling your stuff, or starting a side business. The more income you can earn outside of your normal paycheck, the easier it will be to quit. Bottom line is you want to cut expenses, increase your income as much as possible so that you're able to save more and reach your savings goals we discussed earlier as quickly as possible. With that being said, guys, ride it until the wheels fall off, meaning endure as long as it takes. And I know what you're thinking, this is definitely easier said than done, but it's so very important, guys. Here's the thing, no matter how you plan to escape your current work situation, it's going to take time. And if you can't afford to quit, it means you'll have to endure as long as it takes for your plan to work. Whether it be the time it takes you to save enough money to quit, the time it takes you to find a new job, or the time it takes for you to communicate and start seeing an improvement in your current work situation, you may have to endure for a while. So be patient, enjoy the journey, enjoy the process. The good news is that there's light at the end of the tunnel. Just dedicate yourself to your plan and work as hard as you can. Apply to as many jobs as you possibly can, even if you don't think you're qualified. And my final piece of advice for you guys is to leave on good terms. I don't believe in burning bridges that don't need to be burned. So again, the final thing I'll suggest is that you maintain your integrity and leave on good terms. No matter how horrible your situation has been, the only thing you can control is your response. As hard as it might be, the most important thing you can do is exhibit good character and walk out of your job with your integrity intact. In the long run, you'll be glad that you took the high road. When you hate your job but can't afford to quit, it can be hard to get up each day and go to work. But ultimately, with the right plan, the will to overcome, hard work, and perseverance, you can turn things around. If you're in this situation now or have been in this situation before, please comment below. I would love some feedback from the community on some additional tips and strategies. If you found value in this video, do me a favor and tap that like button and be sure to share it with others on social media. It really helps to support and grow the channel. Don't forget to subscribe and turn on the notification bell as I'm posting valuable new content multiple times a week. Thanks again for watching, and until next time.